The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
No! I'm going down to Alphabet Street. I'm gonna crown this girl that I meet. I'm gonna talk so.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Guess what? The F word. And you know what? I'm not embarrassed to say it, but I'm very happy. I'm very blessed that my mom and dad are in town here in Minnesota. They came down from Wisconsin, and they're going to head down to Kentucky. And they were here for the Vikings game. I stayed home and watched it with them. And I just have an issue where I can't help it, but F words do come out of my mouth when I'm watching football. And it's like I can't control it. And my son literally said to my mother, he goes, you raised that. Renee Parris, welcome to the F word.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again this week.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here. But yeah, my son's like, he looks at my mom and he's like, you raised that. She's like, no, I didn't raise that. And I go, but you know what, you guys? This is my house. This is my roof. And the words that are coming out of my mouth as a result of this football game, which is an F word. I'm not saying that the F words that I was saying were the best words, but sometimes when the Vikings do things, it's not one of my strongest points that I'm very proud of. But there's F words that are good, so I make up for that. So
there you go.
Yes, and speaking of F words, first of all, you're going to be traveling to a beautiful place, which is fabulous. Where are you going?
I'm going just outside of Sacramento, California.
I love it.
Spend a few days on the West Coast.
Yes. I absolutely love the West Coast. I love the East Coast. I love anywhere but Minnesota when it starts getting cold, to be honest. We've been cold, rainy. They've mentioned, I call it an F word, but it's a 4-letter word called snow. They actually said that we'll see some probably this week, some flurries. There's another F word for you.
Wow.
Yes. So, we're going to talk about financial fitness for females. But you know what, everybody? Before we do that, I want to talk about fitness for our country. People, there's so many things, Renee, that, you just see in the news. I try not to watch the news that much because it hurts my heart.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of divisiveness and some in our country, and sometimes I watch the news and I'm wondering if that's where a lot of it comes from. Mm-hmm. Because we're being fed that all day. It's just the same 15-minute conversation just replayed and expanded on all day. And so sometimes I feel it's not really fair, like it's not a good representation of where we are, but nonetheless, it is the topic of the day. So right. I agree with what you're about to say. I think we have a crucial need and a responsibility to do something about it, to make our voice heard in a respectful way.
Exactly. And that's it. So what I want to reach out, I think tonight is the last night a lot of people can register to vote, isn't it? I saw that out there somewhere.
Yeah, I know we're really close.
Yeah, and I just made sure. I voted the last election, but I just wanted to double check. So you can go on and you can make sure that you are registered. But you know what? Here's the deal, folks. Facebook, big giant F word. Facebook. My gosh, you see all of the stuff everybody thinks, and heaven forbid you put your own. I don't put my opinions out there just because I've got them, but I just don't have the time or the patience to deal with pettiness, and I get a little irritated with the ignorance factor too. But you know what? Y'all can say anything you want if you vote. Otherwise, I don't even want to hear anything. You know?
Right.
I
Yeah.
just, that's where because I feel like a lot of the people with the strongest opinions don't even have the right to complain. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does, and I totally agree with you. I think that in our, I started to say democracy. My son continually reminds me it's a republic. It's not a democracy. But anyway, in our society, we have the voice is given to us by way of voting, and so if we don't exercise, every time there's an election, it is the one way that we have power, and I like women being empowered,
right,
to affect change. Mm-hmm. And if our majority doesn't win, if our party doesn't win, then we're okay with it. We did our part, right? And we go to bat and do something different next time. But right. to just abstain from the privilege and the responsibility to vote, to me is I don't know, it's just, I'm pretty passionate about it. I think everybody should get out there and vote, especially in midterm elections. I think we rally the troops, for the big elections, and then we sort of get complacent, and we're like, oh, that one's on the local level or the state level, maybe it's not so important, but they're all important.
Right.
Because national leaders rise from community leaders, right? That's how they climb that ladder, right? So.
Yeah, no, thank you. I can't stress it enough, folks. Get out there, or I don't want to hear from you. It's just, but there's so many different things. You know what I do like? I like seeing a lot of females out there in politics now. I mean, it used to, you look back at the days, it was always men. But things are changing now, and there's so many things that as women we do. There's so many women that, I'm an empty nester. I am a single mother. Now my children, mind you, are adults, but you never stop being a mom. You never stop helping them if they need it. And so we have to look at things a little bit differently, and we do. But, Renee, tell me a little bit about growing up in your house. Who handled the finances when you were a little girl that you know of?
For the most part, my mom did. My dad, obviously made the money. My mom was a stay-at-home mom most of my childhood, and she always did things on the side to help put us through private education and so forth. She would clean houses or offices or those types of jobs. But for the most part, my dad was the main breadwinner, but my mom always took care of the finances. She kept the budget, made sure everything was taken care of. And it's actually a funny story. Just recently, my dad's probably going to hear this and not be happy that I'm sharing this publicly, but he had to write a check, and he didn't even know how, because my mom is just always taking care of that. So even when women weren't in the workforce in masses like we are now, they were still, in a lot of homes, taking care of the finances.
Right. No, and that's funny because, and I've also seen the opposite. We had the house that I grew up in, these neighbors, he passed away, handled everything. And she didn't even know how to change the thermostat in the house. And I remembered this because I want to say I was in high school, just like maybe 10th or 11th grade. I remember her saying that, and it always stuck with me. Her saying, "We took care of everything. I'm lost. I don't know what to do." But ladies, chances are we're going to outlive our husband. That's just statistics. I mean, I always joke around and say, and this is back when I was married, but I used to say because I deserved to. But oh yes, but I mean, we do, statistically speaking. So I want to talk tonight about financial fitness. Why you need financial strategy, women, and the thing is too is women look at finances differently than men. So understand who you are financially, so you understand why you do things the way you do, because that's going to help you to get started and figuring out what your financial strategy is. So seriously, there's a lot of different reasons. Renee, I mean, think about that, all the different life-changing events. Like for me, right? I'm divorced. I didn't get married to get divorced. Obviously, we don't plan that.
Right.
But it took its toll. Everything I had planned for got torn apart.
Exactly.
With the people that you meet with, I mean, do you see that a lot?
Oh, I see it all the time, and I'm passionate about helping women specifically who find themselves either single by choice or not, widowed, divorced, in whatever the situation is that brought it about. Your financial fitness plan looks very different if everything is depending on you. Mm-hmm. If your retirement assets are the only assets and there's not a partner to lean on, right. If there's no second income to lean on, if you have a job interruption, there are a lot of situations where all of a sudden as females we can find ourselves being solely responsible. And I think that for a lot of women that breeds an insecurity. And what I find the biggest solution to insecurity is knowledge, right? And empowerment. The more you know, the more powerful you can feel. Even if you can't change your dollars, you can change your strategies. And that often comes through just being educated and working with somebody who understands where you are. And as a female, not to exclude any of the men listening to the show or any male advisors, but there's something, women we get each other, right? We were built for community and friendship, and we understand each other. Men and women approach finances very differently for the most part.
Oh, exactly.
So I think it really helps to have a plan and to talk that plan through with an advisor and to make sure that the decisions you are making now prepare you for whatever life event is going to happen, because life does happen. We start out, in our 20s getting out of school and getting into a job, and at that point we're just accumulating, right? And then as life happens, we have children, sometimes we come out of the workforce. Well, that can affect the accumulation process. Or we find ourselves, like you're saying, in a divorce situation, widowed at any age. I mean, you could be a widow at 20 or 60, right? It just happens. So having a plan and knowing how you approach finances so that you recognize where you need to be strengthened is critical. It's vastly critical.
And knowing that, I mean, there's no perfect time for it, because like you said, you can be in your 20s. I think a lot of times families put that stuff off because you think, well, I'm you're not thinking of it that way. You're wanting every penny that you make. You don't want to put money in the F-word 401k because it's like, man, I'm just barely making it. But the thing is, I think people need to remember is, you know what, always pay yourself.
Absolutely. I heard a quote one time, and I think it's so critical for women to understand this, to not sacrifice your future needs because of someone else's current wants. And I think that plays, right? That's good. Yeah, that's just exactly what you just said, because we'll spend every penny we have our hands on because the kids need new shoes, or they want to be in this sport, or we want to go on this trip. And so we know we need to be saving for retirement because we will eventually need that money but to live on. But we'll sacrifice that future need for someone else's immediate wants, and you just cannot do that. My dad used to say all the time when I was a little girl, he would say, when you grow up, you're going to be an old lady someday, and if you start sending her money now, when you get there and meet her, she'll appreciate that.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so he taught us the value of saving early on. But you cannot save your way to retirement. You cannot ever in a lifetime, based on the income that we make, we can never save enough.
Right.
So you have to know how to make those dollars that you're saving work. Every dollar has to be working at all times. You can't just tuck it under a mattress or throw it in a bank and get no return. So there's a strategy you have to have, that you have to know every day, every dollar is working for me. Whether it's in a 401k plan or whatever vehicle you choose, you need to know that you're maximizing the opportunity. But yeah, it's critical that we don't put off too long into the future, because we don't know when our life event is going to change. And I just want to say this about life insurance. I'm passionate about life insurance for children, and I want to share a personal story about why.
Please do.
Yes.
Me too.
A lot of people, will say, oh, I don't need coverage on my kids, right? I'll wait till they're older to get it. Or
right.
Why do I need to, have that on my children? Well, my husband and I, unfortunately, have buried a child.
I'm sorry.
Yes. So I know all too well that in the midst of grief, the expense of that does not go away.
No.
Right?
Oh,
so the funeral home still wants to be paid. The cemetery still wants to be paid. Everybody still has to make money. And they don't really it doesn't stop because you are grieving, right? Those expenses still come. So I work with a lot of daycare parents, and I'll do seminars at daycares and go in and educate them on, do you understand how inexpensively you can not only insure your child's life, but also start them a future educational plan in the same vehicle?
Right.
And go ahead and get that death benefit taken care of, because you don't know how life is going to change. And let's just imagine that your child doesn't pass away. Let's just imagine that maybe at age 10 or 12 it's discovered that they have diabetes, or there's a car accident and they'll never work. There are a lot of reasons why starting something before they have a chronic condition or an illness is important, because we don't know when they're 18 and 21 what life will look like for them. So to delay getting insurance on them really is a disservice to the child. Not only a helpful financial benefit for the parents should they ever need that death benefit. So,
Renee, that's, first of all, my best sympathy. And I can't even imagine, but you are hitting the nail right on the head. Because I remember I didn't really think about it, but when my oldest son was a baby, my mom's insurance guy came over. It was Lutheran Brotherhood. They're not around anymore. They're another name now, but I remember him coming over. His name was Keith. I remember his name and everything, even my eyes out, saying, I can't imagine getting money off of him dying. I don't want it. He goes, no. I need to explain to you how this works. That was it. Because I think we as parents and people in general, we don't want to think about that. We don't. No. And I mean, if we don't think about it, it's not going to happen. But that's not true.
Right. It's not true. Children die every single day, and nobody wants to walk that journey. Nobody chooses to walk that journey. But if you find yourself on that journey, just having that financial peace of mind could make so much difference. And then not only that, but not only taking care of the final expenses and all of that's entailed, but being able to use anything that's left to create something in memory or honor of your child. I mean, that is very powerful. for legacy planning.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's 100 reasons to do it and no reasons to not, and it's so inexpensive. I mean, we all, the day you sign up for some pregnancy registry, you start getting those Gerber
Yes.
child.
Right.
Everybody wants to cover your child, but Gerber has the market on that, right?
Right.
And we all say, yeah, I need to do that. It would only be a few dollars a month, but we just neglect to do it because, to your point, somehow we feel if we're doing it, we're either monetizing our child's death or we're
Right.
inviting that I don't know, opportunity into our life. But it's so not true. It's just there's a lot of reasons to do it. But again, you want to do the right plan. So just having basic burial coverage is not really what I would recommend. I would recommend doing something where you have a death benefit if you ever need it, but you're also building a retirement bucket, a future bucket that you can use for your child to pay for weddings and cars and colleges, and then to transfer to them. So it's a head start into their financial future when they're responsible enough to manage that.
Well, and like you said too, what happens so often is health changes, where they become uninsurable. So when you start it, I mean, then you get guaranteed durability for future, different events. I mean, you get married, you can have more coverage. You have children, you can have more coverage. You get all these different opportunities with certain policies. And by all means, everybody, Forecast Financial with Renee Parris and James Hamilton. By the way, they know how to determine which one is best for you and your situation. Sorry, that's a shameless plug, but
no. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. And also, just to throw this out, there's a lot of females listening tonight who are grandmothers, right? And so you can even put plans into place for your grandchildren. Mm-hmm. So if your son or daughter is not in a position to take on that cost, or maybe doesn't necessarily see the need, it's very easy for grandparents to do this for their grandchildren. So, yeah.
I think
so that's our plug for life insurance.
What's funny is I was thinking of it as, you can do that as a gift.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I'm talking about women living longer and the financial planning aspect of it, gifting, right? Mm-hmm. You can gift. Last time I checked, and it's been a while, I'm not going to admit to it, but it used to be like $13,000 gift. Why not gift it into a life insurance policy for your grandchild? Right? Yeah, it'd go a lot further than, a new toy or a trip or whatever. Yeah. Yes, I mean, and because of the insurability of the relationship, I mean, you can own it while they're younger. And I mean, they would take it over when they're, over 18. But I mean, it's a legacy. It's a gift that later on, when that day comes and we're not around, but our grandchildren are here, now all of a sudden it's like, wow, Grandma and Grandpa left me this, and there is so much cash value in it now. I can buy a house, or I can use this for my college education. Or I can use it, for, let's say, a group of people that I know a lot, that I've introduced you to some, but, like NFL players, what? Their retirement is a lot longer than most of us. So what if no pro athlete gets in the NFL and he has a career-ending incident on the field, and he is 8 years old. And now it's like, okay, he made good money, but he was like the statistics say, 78% going broke within a couple of years of leaving the game. So he didn't set himself up all right. But what if his grandma and grandpa did that for him? And all of a sudden, it's like, wait, I have what? And that is an instrument to help him to bridge that gap of retirement until he finds something else. Absolutely. Powerful. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tax-free retirement vehicle. And I know I'm just kind of, just top dusting little different ideas. But there's so many opportunities. So the big key word here, I think everybody needs to remember, is having that foresight. There's another F word, Renee. To think about the future, and if you're not thinking about yours, think about your kids, think about your grandkids. But you know what you do, like you said earlier, think of yours first, because that's part of your life.
Right. Well, and we know that women, based on actuarial tables and research, women are going to live longer than men. We have a longer life expectancy. So even if you're married and you feel like financially you're okay at the moment, at some point in life for most of us, we are going to be solely responsible for our own financial situation. We are going to live alone. Even if I meet people, I met a couple yesterday celebrated their 49th anniversary.
Aww.
49 years, it's a long time in today's society to still be married, right?
Yes.
But at some point, the reality is we will live alone. And so we have to, whether we've transferred all the knowledge and power and decision-making to the husband, or we've just put it on autopilot and chosen not to get involved, whatever the situation, it is critically important that women educate themselves.
Oh,
and
yeah.
By nature, I think we're researchers. We like to figure things out. Mm-hmm. And it's not that there's a lack of information out there. It's knowing where you can go for trusted information and for somebody to break it down to you and put it in layman's terms. I so often see financial education out there, and I feel like financial educators write information to impress each other more so than to deliver the content to average people who are not in the industry.
Oh my gosh, yes, I've seen it.
So yeah, I see it all the time. So at Forecast, one of our strengths, I think, is just to be able to have conversations.
Right.
We don't get into the weeds about the details and how this works and how that. We just talk concepts. Like, what is it you're trying to do? How do we get you there? Right now I'm in North Carolina, and of course we've got another hurricane approaching very quickly in the Panhandle and coming our way. So thoughts and prayers are with all of those people in harm's way.
Thoughts and prayers, because this one, it's sounding like it's going to be worst.
I know, and we're just barely, getting back on our feet from Florence. But in thinking about hurricanes, right? And I heard this analogy. Another speaker, but I think it's so good. The West Coast deals with earthquakes, right? The East Coast deals with hurricanes. If with hurricanes you at least have some notice and some time to plan, because our technology is so good, you can choose not to prepare and plan and evacuate if you're ordered to, but you do get an opportunity to make preparation.
Exactly.
Right? But what happens on the West Coast, think about earthquakes. Every day, people go to bed and wake up and go about their daily lives knowing in the back of their mind that there is a potential for a massive earthquake. History tells us they've happened before. Future predictions tell us they're going to happen again, but we get complacent. Mm-hmm. And because there's no 3-day warning.
Right.
Right?
No.
And so when it happens, you're so caught off guard. There's no time to get water. There's no time to get the generator. There's no time for anything. The life event happened. And if you think about that with retirement planning, take advantage of the opportunity to prepare for what you know is coming. You know retirement is coming. You know life changes are coming. So we have to take the opportunity to prepare so they don't catch us by surprise.
No, you know what? I got to share this with you. I lived in California back. And I was in an earthquake. It was the Whittier earthquake, and it was over 6. And it was, I was living out there, and I hadn't even thought of it. I'd been there for, like 4 or 5 months. Happy, living in California, sunshine. I'm all excited. Coming from Minnesota, I'm going to have my first warm Christmas. While I was in the shower. And had to stand under a doorway, the bathroom door, and completely unprepared, naked. Okay? It's like, I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, you can't be any more unprepared than that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
if I gotta go climbing out of something, I got no clothes on, I got nothing. You know, you just after it hit, Renee, there was aftershocks. I was absolutely petrified. That scared me so much that everything I did, like I always thought to myself, what if another one? What if there's another one? What if there's another one? You know what? That was so extreme, but I completely can liken that, you saying that, because you gotta have some sort of plan. I didn't have
Right.
one.
Right.
Because I didn't even think of it.
Um,
Wow, yeah. And then
and the plan changes over
Yeah.
time, right? It's
Yeah.
not something we do one time and tuck away and never look at again. I mean, you gotta always have it in, at least in the surface forefront of your mind. Now, most women they're working and raising children and doing what they do and working with charities, and time is our most valuable commodity, and there seems to be not enough of it. So I don't expect women who are not in the industry to be spending hours a day on this, but
no.
have a relationship with somebody that you trust, that is always looking out for your best interest, and that will remind you once a quarter, once every 6 months, once a year to, hey, let's think about this. Is there anything we need to do different now? And just somebody to check in with, a trusted advisor, that you can say, okay, it doesn't mean that person is managing all of your assets. It just means they're kind of your go-to specialist for your advice.
Right. Somebody that,
Because
they don't even have to be an advisor. They can just be somebody that has done well for themselves, and just ask them for help too.
Exactly.
Like, what do you
recommend? Yeah. And then always just double check that your information is good and still relevant, because financial products change over the years. So something that worked 20 years ago will have evolved in most cases into something much better. So just make sure that you're getting relevant information for where you are on your journey, from trusted sources.
Right. I mean, so when you look back, at how it was for women, I mean, typically, we weren't educated. It was, but when I was a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, great question. I was a dreamer. I think I'm still a dreamer. I want to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to be a writer. For a while, I wanted to be a psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
I love helping people. I guess those were my two big aspirations: being a writer and helping people in some capacity.
I wanted to be a mommy. It's like that's all I can remember. I wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
I had no career aspirations. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's not crazy. I think we're all wired differently, right? And so, fortunately for women, we get to most of us get to do all of that in some different phases and stages in life.
But where I'm going with that, though, is I didn't think of, okay, so I want to be a mom. Well, that means that there should be a dad in the picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never used to think of that part of it. Kind of funny. And I didn't think of the financial aspect of what it takes to be. So it's like, guess what? You got to buy diapers. You got all these other expenses. That never came to my head. Oh, but thinking about being a psychologist, thinking about being a writer, there's going to be some paychecks. So it's literally, I think one of the best things that as women, one of the most valuable things that we could do for our daughters, our granddaughters, is educate them. Want to be a mom, sweetheart? That's wonderful. Here's the things that you need to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And just what you said. All these different things, because, a lot of times, I hope you have a rich husband. I hope you marry well, so you can stay home. It's like, here you go, sweetie. You go sit down in the corner and have your ice cream. And, you'll be a good wife someday, right?
Right.
So it is. I mean, the old traditional values are out the door. So there's the stay-at-home moms, but like you said, your mom handled the finances. So there's so much more that people don't even think about, and definitely. So going back to childhood, though, I remember not having a clue. I mean, my parents weren't. I mean, we never really wanted for anything. I never knew if we did or not, right? But I remember one time my mom telling me I couldn't have something. Go, what? To me, it was like nothing. And my mom said, well, no, we don't have the money for that. So, Mom, the bank is right over there. And we go get some. And that is something that I've noticed, though. Like, when you go in schools, and I know you homeschool, I mean, do you do financial literacy?
Absolutely, I do.
And that's missing.
Yes.
That's missing.
It's missing so terribly. I mean, our kids graduate from high school. If they're lucky, if they go to a good school, they might get a business math class and learn how to write a check, but they don't really learn about money, which our whole society exists on the foundation of money. It's transacted in everything we do, but we don't learn about it, usually until we've made a mess. And then it's like, oh, now, but we better learn how not to do that again, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that the younger your kids are when you start imparting that knowledge to them, especially females, because I just feel like even in managing a home, like you just said, running a home is like running a business. You know, you got to figure out how to keep costs down and how to increase the money that you can do the fun things with. And I mean, there's a lot to it. And most of us just are not taught that.
No,
so
we're not.
I'm very passionate. As a matter of fact, in our homeschool co-op group, we do a financial course. It's a high school level course, but we'll even include the 4th and 5th graders in it, because I think you can never start too young educating your children about money. They need to understand how our national debt works. Why are we in the situation we're in? The things they hear on the news, they need to understand and connect all those financial pieces and almost learn how not to do that in your personal life, right?
No.
Look at what somebody else has done and decide, do I want to follow that path or not? Well, where did it end?
Right, and by being able to tie it to current events.
Absolutely.
It absolutely makes sense. Okay, so like here's an example. So I went from a private Christian school into a public school my senior. I thought I was going to skate easy because I had all these credits. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to graduate early. It's going to be so easy. Because I really didn't like school. I just, I didn't have time for those people. So, there's no reason for me to be here, you people. I don't understand why I should be here, because I hung out with everybody that was older. But they already paid their dues. But I remember, like, all of a sudden they took all these credits away from me. Oh, I'm sorry, Life of Christ doesn't count. New Testament service doesn't count. Like, so I had to make up credits to be able to graduate. And so I took as easy a class as I could for anything. I took jewelry. I took painting. I took drawing. I took film lit. Typing, shorthand. Yes, I'm that old. Typing in shorthand. Oh my gosh. But and then I'm just like looking through it because I was irritated, and I checked this one called economics. I'm thinking home economics. I show up to that class and he starts talking about government stuff, GNP, and I'm like, wait, what? Where's the stoves? When do I get to make cookies? And oh no, I didn't sign up for this. And that, you know what? How horrible for me. I didn't know anything about any of that, and I was going to, I was a senior. I didn't have the financial literacy taught to me.
Right.
So it's crazy, and it needs to be brought out there. And women, as far as financial fitness, I mean, that needs to be like financial schools. I mean, that's just part as like FIED. Hey, FIED, that sounds like.
Here's another F word for it's a foundation, right? The financial foundation.
Yes.
Learning those principles when you're young to prepare you for the future life changes. So just think about all the changes that a woman will go through from the time she graduates from high school or college. Getting married, having your first child, buying your first home.
Right.
And just think about all the financial components that go with each of those. And then you have children starting a business, right? Going back to school. Maybe you didn't finish or didn't get as high level a degree as you wanted before your children. Now you're going back to school. Or you change professions and you have a job interruption and a career, a new direction. And then maybe there is a divorce or a widowhood or whatever. So many things happen, and preparing, knowing how to navigate those different changes and how your financial fitness looks different at different points in your life. Right. So if I'm sitting down with a 25-year-old, it's a very different conversation than a 60-year-old lady. Right? But the foundational principles of understanding I have to save, and I have to deny now to enjoy later. So I have to save. That has to happen off the top. And then what I'm left with, I have to use wisely. So then we've saved, and now we're in retirement, or now we're close to retirement, and now it's time to change the financial fitness formula.
Right.
To how do we, change the diet, because now we're not working, and so our ability to produce income goes away. So then it becomes the job of our accumulated buckets to produce that income for us. And some of that will happen through Social Security, right? We put into that all of our life, knowing that will come to us, but it's not enough to live on, right? Not for most people. And who knows what it will be for the women who are 30 and 40 by the time they get to retirement age. So all of those dollars that you accumulate have to go to work for you when you no longer work for yourself. And that's a different strategy altogether. So at every phase of life, it's just important to revisit, where am I, what are my goals, what am I trying to accomplish, and how do I get there? Because we don't really know. I mean, we don't have a crystal ball to know what we're going to need at age 70. Not when you're 30 and 40. But
so many women are reactive instead of proactive. And so
absolutely.
It's, getting your financial strategy in place, be able to, be better prepared for this life-changing event.
Right.
Because it's the one thing that is constant is change, right? There's another thing, though, too. We as women, I'm seeing it because now the age that I am, that my parents are, that my children are, I mean, we're known as the sandwich generation. And, so if you're middle-aged and your parents are older, your children, I mean, the way things have been a lot of times, I mean, children back home, I wish mine would more, so I wouldn't have that empty nest feeling. But now, as you know, like my parents are going down to Kentucky at the end of this week, and they're going to be selling their place. So anybody looking for something of Eastern Kentucky, beautiful, let me know. But they're going to be selling it, and then they're going to be coming back up here because we need them closer. My dad's 80, bless his heart, but you know what, Dad? Not able to do the things he used to, and I'm starting to get more nervous about them driving down there, driving back up.
Mhm.
So we're in a little bit different phase. I mean, so you got to be thinking, where do you want your parents? And I just went to go visit my friends, best friends, on Saturday.
Mhm.
Broke on Memorial, and so her and her two brothers. Our friend, he is never alone unless he's sleeping. So all
Wow.
his waking hours, they're making sure he's being taken. He is
Mhm.
never alone. He can't speak, but he can communicate like over his computer. It
Right.
takes him a
Right.
while, but I mean that's just an example. And so, I mean, we don't plan for that either. That's something that we have to
Right.
think about, and being able to their mom. They're such a good, strong family unit that they're having all these family meetings and everything, and making
Mhm.
sure she's taken.
Right.
But like
Which is
it's
so
doing the
important
legacy
because,
planning. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And a lot of times, even so, as children, as the daughter of aging parents, you sometimes we're hesitant to have those conversations,
Right. Oh, they're hard.
hard
You don't want to
conversations
think
to
about
have.
it. Mm-hmm.
But and even for if we're older, we think, well, we don't want to have the conversation with our kids because we don't want to burden them with all of those decisions.
Right.
But please, please, please hear me and trust me, everybody who's listening. I've been in this industry and seen a lot of stuff. It is so much more advantageous to have the tough conversations now
Right.
than to leave somebody in a situation to make decisions where they have to second guess themselves because they don't really know 100% what mom and dad would have wanted.
Yes, and it breaks up so many families too because it's not about the money. It's not
No,
about the money.
it's not about the money.
It's like if you do legacy planning now, if you have these conversations with your parents, my brother and I mean, my parents started doing this a few years ago with my brother and I, and me knowing what I know, I still didn't want to have those conversations.
Right,
Oh, I don't
right.
want to know.
User left your channel.
I
Yeah.
don't want to think. Let's do that another time.
Exactly.
That's what we do. But if you
Yeah.
think about it, I mean, there's the things that are so important that we need to be thinking about, not just the financial part of it, but passing on life lessons, values,
Yes.
personal possessions of emotional value. My brother might not care about our grandmother's pie plate, but guess what? What if he gets it and I wanted it?
Right.
So I mean, there's all those conversations that we don't think of. We need to do, and if you're having a hard time with it, I mean, you could sit down with Renee or an advisor that but have an advisor help you go through all this too. I mean, because yes, there's the financial assets, but then again, final
Yes.
directives,
Yes.
that's
And
part
it
of
really
it.
comes
Yeah.
down to living with intention, right?
Mhm.
Just doing things on purpose, creating the time and space for those conversations to happen. And sometimes it is helpful to have a third party, somebody who's neutral, not emotionally attached to a situation. We help our clients with estate planning all the time.
Mhm.
Just to get everything, there's something to talking through a process. And things will come to light the longer you talk about any situation. So sometimes we'll enter a conversation and somebody will think they know what they want to do, and then as you're talking and asking questions, then the real desire comes forth. So you have to stay plugged in long enough to really hear each person and not let your emotions get involved, because there's 7 kids in my family.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. That's
All
just my
7 of
brother
us.
and me.
Right. All 7 of us are not going to agree on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're very different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
We have different strengths and weaknesses. So our parents took all those decisions out of our hands.
Yeah.
Because they both had parents that passed away without wills, and there was a lot of people involved. And so because of that, they got very proactive and said, we will make the decisions so that in the middle of grief, emotions don't get mixed in. And we're so grateful for that. And we've all had to sit down and have those conversations. My dad has cancer and has had a 3-time cancer survivor. But every time we've had these conversations, and we've asked him, write down things for us, write down stories and songs, and let's not lose that. So it goes so much deeper than the money. When you talk about legacy planning, but we could do a whole hour just on that.
I know.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about that. So I think what I would like to recommend to all the ladies who are listening is...
All you single ladies. Let's
have a conversation, right? I would love to just talk on the phone and get to know people and find out what it is we can do to help point them in the direction. If it's something outside of our scope of services, we'll just connect them where they need to be, right? So they can easily just find us at forecastfinancialgroup.com. My phone number at the end of the hour as well. But yeah, I just think it's critically important to take a moment, pause, and put together a plan, or at least get confirmation and affirmation from somebody that the plan you have is healthy. That your financial fitness plan is
power. Power
knowledge
is
fitness.
Power. Yes. Fitness. I mean, think about this. 91% of women feel more confident and more prepared for their financial future when they're working with a financial professional. 88% feel more independent. I'm looking at but 89% of women who are working with a financial professional will, get this, their own children about finances. So, ladies, don't let your own personal lack of knowledge keep you from reaching out to Renee. Because, seriously, there's no question is stupid. Beginning is today. I mean, if you haven't planned, or if you know what, like, life happens, divorces happen. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I wanted out. I gave up a lot to get out. So I had to start over again. So learning to have over again is any time of your life. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
You can be, I mean, you can be 50. It's never too late to start. And, that's just like, with physical fitness, financial fitness. I mean, if you don't have financial fitness, it affects your health. It really does. I mean, you lay awake at night. Worry. We tend to be more of a worrier anyway. And when you've got a different, there's different financial personalities that women have. There's this is another hour-long talk, but your financial personality, Renee can help you with that, because then there's if you're an analyzer or a collaborator, avoiders. Some women just don't even want to think about it, right? The dreamer, the initiator, so you've got all these different personalities, but knowing how to channel that personality to best be able to get yourself set for what you need to do by sitting down with Renee, talking to her on the phone, get a hold of me and get you Renee's number. But it's just so important, ladies. I mean, financial fitness, financial literacy, getting our kids going in the right direction, because as we know, with the voting that we need to do, our midterm elections, that's part of our future. And so what we do now is shape what we do later.
Right.
Right. All right. So our darling friend, fabulous financial guru extraordinaire, Renee, you are getting up so early, and I just really appreciate you staying on this late because you're a superstar. You hardly ever sleep. But now, what is it that you're going out to California for besides to, dip your toes in the sand?
Yeah, get some of that California sunshine. I'm going to a conference, so I'll be busy the next few days, but always looking for ways to learn more myself, right? We never know it all. There's always more knowledge to be gained, and putting yourself in an environment where you can just always learn and glean from others who've already been down the trek. So in this situation, I'm going to learn things in the industry that will help me, but what we're offering on the call is to do that for ladies as well, to empower them with education. So I want to know from women what it is that they lay awake and think about at night. Is it that there won't be enough money? Is it they feel paralyzed by not knowing enough? What is it that keeps you awake at night? Let's attack that concern and get you educated so you can feel empowered and more peaceful. So it doesn't matter to me if somebody has $20 or $20 million. No question is too small. No strategy is out of limits for anybody. It's just education. It's just a conversation. So I'd love to make myself available to all of your listeners. Talk about anything, follow up on anything we talked about on the call, or something else that we didn't even touch on. And I would like to do a whole show on those personalities. I think
Let's do it. Let's do
people.
it.
Yeah.
And all right. So, forecastfinancialgroup.com. And Renee Parris, what's your phone number?
800. Oh, I totally went blank. 678-2045. Let's do it again.
Sure.
800-678-2045.
All right.
It's on the website as well. So forecastfinancialgroup.com.
You had a Kathy moment there.
Kathy moment.
I adore you. You get to California safely. Let me know that you got there. And everybody, thank you for joining us for another week on the F Word. And thank you to Jim Bell, Joe Savino, for giving us the opportunity to get this information out to y'all. Everybody have a great week, and we will talk to you next week on the F Word. Thank you.